Allan Aguirre with your Incorruptible 2-minute warning. All right. We are at chapter 10 of 1 Corinthians. It's a very incriminating chapter for the Romanized Western Church. But then again, all of what Paul wrote is incriminating to the Romanized Western Church. They just don't actually know it because they don't actually read it correctly, and they don't actually know what Paul is talking about, and they misconstrue and they reinterpret what he's saying to mean pretty much the exact opposite of what he's talking about. And this chapter is pretty incriminating. The first 12 verses. I don't know how you can make the case. I don't know how you can make such a strong case for the observance of Torah, for the keeping of God's covenants, for the keeping of his prescribed method of worship and serving him and loving him, and then miss it like Christianity has missed it. It's not only shocking, it's very concerning, because then at that point it begs the question: if they can't get this, if they can't read this and understand it, how are they capable or able to read any of the text and understand it? Well, and we know that they can't. I mean, this goes back a long way. 2nd, 3rd, 4th century Catholicism, they couldn't figure out, they couldn't read the gospel accounts correctly to determine that the Sabbath that they needed to take the body of Jesus off the cross was the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the high Sabbath of the first day of Unleavened Bread. They couldn't even figure that out. And it's clearly right there in Leviticus 23. They thought it was the weekly Sabbath, which is why they call it Good Friday. Once again, incriminating themselves and admitting that the Sabbath is indeed Friday. See what I'm saying? And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I mean, absolutely insane. Okay, so chapter 10 is probably going to take a little bit of work because we need to chat about it. All right, let's try this. Let's get this going. Warning against idolatry. We're continuing from chapter 8, if you can imagine that. All right. For I do not want you to be unaware. Oh, and by the way, hold on. This first 12 verses is the premise for this book. So if you don't have this book, Anyway, here we go. For I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that our fathers were all under the cloud. See Exodus 13:21. And all passed through the sea. See Exodus 14:22. Wait a second. I do have to say one more thing. What the hell is Paul doing writing to a bunch of Gentiles about warning them against idolatry and food offered unto idols if the Torah isn't applicable? See what I'm saying? For I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that our fathers, he's calling them our fathers, he's talking to Gentiles, were all under the cloud, Exodus 13:21, and all passed through the sea, Exodus 14:22, right? The Red Sea. And all were baptized, or the Sea of Aqaba, and all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. Complete Jewish Bible says, verse 2, and in connection with the cloud and the sea, they all immersed themselves into Moshe, into Moses, right? They're baptized to the Torah. So that's about to be unleashed on them, right? they're locked in because of this. And he's calling them our fathers. Verse 3, and all ate the same spiritual food, or the same food from the Spirit. Exodus 16:15. And verse 35. Deuteronomy 8:3. Nehemiah 9:15. And verse 20. Psalm 78:24. Psalm 78:25. And 105 verse 40. And all drank the same spiritual drink. Exodus 17:6. For they drank from the spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ, was Messiah. Nevertheless, with most of them God was not pleased, for they were overthrown or were laid low in the wilderness. And it says it like this in the Complete Jewish Bible. And they all drank the same drink from the Spirit, for they drank from a Spirit-sent rock which followed them, and that rock was the Messiah. Verse 5, yet with the majority of them God was not pleased, so their bodies were strewn across the desert. Numbers 14:20.
The views and opinions expressed during our broadcasts are solely those of the broadcast producers, hosts, and/or guests, etc., and are not necessarily the views or opinions of the Travelog Network, its sponsors, or affiliates.